What's up, guys? I'm BTC. We got some more information about Project A and how the abilities are going to work. Now, right away, I know you guys have already seen the teaser footage for Project A, and I'm not going to just put it on a loop every single time I make one of these videos. I'm just going to put something else like Overwatch in the background, okay? Now, the info that we got for this comes from a Turkish gamer named WTCN, and this info was translated by VP eLven, who runs a community Project A Discord server. I'll have links for that stuff down in the description. He was able to play the early version of the game with Riot, and he was able to give some amount of feedback. Obviously, there are still restrictions. He can't talk about everything, but some of the stuff that he gave out was pretty good. He says he was able to play for about 6 hours. The first couple things he talks about are the green smokes, and we already know that these function kind of like CSGO. You can attack through them, but they're very difficult to see through. He says that the character is hard to use, and that you can also manually control the green wall of smoke. You can change the direction and reshape it. Maybe this will function a little bit like what Mei does with her ice wall, where you can activate it and then you see the little outline and then you change the direction. I mean, he doesn't go into specifics. I'm just kind of speculating at this point for that. He does say that there are no normal items that work like a CSGO smoke grenade. Instead, there's the hero ability that works like the smoke. At least that's what it sounds like, because again, this is being translated like multiple times, but it does sound like there's no normal item that is a smoke. Instead, you have to use the character. Now, he does say that the fights are very kind of erratic, right? Like, it's all over the place. There's so many abilities. There's so much stuff going on sometimes with, you know, you have fire abilities, ice abilities, all the green smoke, and he says it's kind of chaotic. He says that it's a clown fiesta. I'm guessing this is probably due to people just trying out all the stuff, right? It's brand new. I mean, obviously, once you're more experienced, you're going to use the abilities a little bit more intelligently, but when you're just trying it out, I mean, everybody's just going to throw everything, right? So maybe that's why. Speaking of the ice ability, he says that there is a ground freezing ability that slows players. So it looks like you kind of throw it on the ground, and anybody that walks over that area will be slowed, as opposed to trying to hit the player themselves. In addition to the smokes, he also says that there are flashbangs, which would kind of disorient the enemy, but that you can't throw them straight ahead. You always have to either throw them on a curve to the right or a curve to the left, which is kind of interesting. I'm not really sure how that would even work. Maybe they're trying to get it so that you have to use them around corners or something, or I don't really know, but that's interesting that you just can't throw them straight ahead. Maybe that will change at some point, but from what he was saying during his playtesting, you just can't throw the flashes straight ahead. He also talked about the revive briefly that you also saw in the trailer. He says that this is an ultimate, which means that it's probably going to be very expensive. And we also have information saying that the ultimates can only be used maybe 2 or 3 times for the entire duration of the match. You don't get to use it very often. He also talks about the knife character that you can see in the teaser. He says that this ability is an ultimate, and when you activate it, you fly up into the air. You stay in the air for the duration of the ultimate, and that the knives have no recoil, which is really good because all of the other weapons will have recoil, which means that your second and third shots are going to be inaccurate compared to your first. But with this ultimate ability, everything goes exactly where your crosshair is. Moving on to the weapons, he says that most weapons are insta-kill with headshot. So again, this is going to be similar to CSGO with a very low TTK, or a time to kill. In Overwatch, the TTK is pretty high because characters have a good amount of health, you can take multiple criticals, you can get healed, all that sort of stuff. In CSGO and now with Project A, none of that is the case. Like, if you have good accuracy and if you're landing those hits on your opponent, then they're going to get taken out very quickly. He also talks about the spray pattern for the weapons, but it sounds like he started to talk about something he wasn't supposed to. So he begins by saying there's no spray pattern, and then he just kind of like, yo, no, hold on, forget that I said that kind of deal, right? So apparently he wasn't supposed to say that. Now, in CSGO, there is a definitive recoil pattern for every single weapon, and you can learn it, right? One of the most important things is learning the recoil pattern for the AK and the M4. You need to learn that, at least the first half of it, right? The better you are as a player, the more you're going to learn. In Overwatch, there is no recoil pattern, with the exception of Baptiste. There's no recoil pattern. Like when you're attacking with Soldier 76, for example, everything is just kind of randomly spread out, and I don't really like that aspect of it. I like CSGO's method better because if you memorize the pattern, if you have that muscle memory, then you can keep your attack in the same spot, which I think is really good and better for a competitive game because it means that the more skill you have, the more that kind of translates into you actually having an impact. Whereas with Soldier 76 in Overwatch, there's the randomness element to it, and you can't control that. So I like having that. But unfortunately, it looks like Project A will not have those CSGO recoil patterns. Instead, it looks like it's going to be more random like Overwatch. He says that the AK is really powerful and that flick shots feel amazingly fun. He also talks about the aim down the sights function, and he says that ADS and hipfire, during ADS your aim gets better by a bit and it provides better spray control. Again, we don't know if there's going to be a recoil pattern that you can follow, or if it's just going to kind of shrink that area of randomness. It sounds like it's going to shrink the area of randomness. He also says that there is a very detailed crosshair editor in the game, which is good. A lot of players in competitive FPS want to customize their crosshair. There is no set specific crosshair that is the best, but having all of those functions are really good, and it allows you to kind of customize it to what you need, get the colors that you want to stand out, and the size and the shape and all that sort of stuff. So that's good that they're just kind of building that into it. I mean, it's a minor thing, you might think, but it's actually pretty important. Also, he says that if you jump and attack, your aim and accuracy will be lowered. If this is anything like CSGO, then it means that it's just going to be absolute garbage. Like, when you're trying to jump around and attack in CSGO, you're just not going to hit what you're trying to hit at. Unlike in Overwatch, where jumping and attacking has basically no effect. If your crosshair is where it's supposed to be, then you're still going to hit. It doesn't have any extra randomness to it. And he does say that there is a training ground that you can use to test your aim. Let's hope that it is a little bit closer to the CSGO workshop maps and not like the Overwatch training ground. He also talks a little bit about the preparation phase at the beginning of the rounds. He says that there's a side entrance, but doesn't go into a whole lot of detail. Like if there is just a room that you're stuck in, kind of like Overwatch, where it's the spawn room, or if there's a much larger area, because he says during the preparation phase, you can go to the side entrance, but you can't go any further. So it does sound like both teams are going to be restricted to their sides of the map. But whether it's just a single room or if it's a bigger area, he doesn't really clarify. He does say that after the prep phase ends, as soon as the round starts, you can immediately turn and start attacking the other people. So it is possible that some areas might be close enough to where you could kind of be like the edge of your spawn area, the edge of your prep area, and as soon as the round says go, you can start attack. You can see the enemy and you can start attacking. That kind of seems like what is happening. I don't know exactly the specifics because he doesn't go fully into detail. He also talks about friendly fire and that you can hurt your teammates during the match. There's probably going to be a casual mode where that's turned off, but for competitive, definitely going to have friendly fire. Now, if you're wondering and you're kind of worried how this will affect the competitive mode if you've never played CSGO, how it works there is you kind of get a freebie. Like if you accidentally take out one of your teammates, then, it doesn't really do anything. But I think if you take out two of your teammates, it will just kick you out of the game. Like you automatically get booted, you get a penalty, and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure that Project A will have something similar to that as the game goes live. He also mentions that the netcode is really, really good. Now, keep in mind, he was almost certainly playing on a LAN, which is going to be way different than if you're trying to play over the internet. But he did also mention that the server tick rates are 128, which is very good, much higher than most of the competition. Some of the CSGO tournaments do run at 128, but I believe the servers are still running at 64, and I think Overwatch servers are running at 60. Overwatch was originally running at like 30 or 32, which is really bad, but having the Project A servers running at 128 is an amazing start right out of the gate. And if you don't know what tick rate is, simplest way to explain it is that it's just how often the server updates, which just means that character positions and attacks and all that sort of stuff is going to be more accurate. He also mentions that Project A is guaranteed to be free to play with no pay-to-win aspects at all. This really shouldn't come as a surprise. Riot's other game, League of Legends, is also free to play. Now, admittedly, I don't have a lot of experience with League of Legends, more of a Dota 2 guy myself, but my understanding on the free-to-play system for League of Legends is that there is a hero pool that you can pick from, and those characters will change every now and again, and those are the ones that the free-to-play accounts are able to use. If you want to use all the characters, then you have to upgrade your account or buy specific ones or something like that, but the free hero pool will rotate every so often, so you get a chance to go through all of them. Now, with Project A, I don't know if they're going to have a character rotation because, I mean, it works for League of Legends because there's like 100 characters in the game, but with Project A, there's probably only going to be like maybe 10 or a dozen, you know, something like that. Not a huge amount, that's for sure. Not 100, at least not at the start. So I don't know how they're going to do that, but it's probably going to be mostly cosmetic stuff, right? Extra voice lines, extra kind of little flares on your abilities and that sort of stuff, special effects, that sort of deal, skins, you know, the normal stuff, right? So free to play, no pay to win aspects, which means that you don't get access to better weapons or better equipment or abilities or anything like that. You just get better looking stuff, essentially. So there you go, guys. That is all the information that I have for you on Project A today. Again, a lot of this stuff is looking pretty cool. I don't really like the whole recoil pattern thing. Like, if it's just random, I'm not really a big fan of that. But everything else is definitely turning out to be pretty good. So what do you guys think of Project A? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell to get notified. You can get some cool gear, join my Discord server, or follow me on social media with the links down in the description below. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters, and remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.